National Gallery reopened the Sainsbury Wing to the public. The £85 million investment has created what many people are calling London's next best venue. I had the pleasure of talking with Clare Arouche, Head of Hospitality and Events at the National Gallery, just after the showcase evening that was held on the 22nd of May. We discussed what the Sainsbury Wing and the National Gallery itself has to offer event and meeting planners. We also talked about the newly opened Supporters House, the new and very welcoming entrance and that huge new display screen. And Claire shares a couple of humorous stories about meeting King Charles. It has been a busy year for the National Gallery. New partnerships, are we still within the anniversary celebrations?
No, that officially ended on the 10th of May when we opened the Sainsbury Wing. So it was a whole year before that.
Okay, yeah, and of course, obviously the opening of the Sainsbury Wing and
yes.
Partnership with Cersei's and all sorts of things going on.
Yeah.
How's that time been for you? I mean, so busy, I guess.
Yeah, it's been quite hectic, a lot going on, lots of juggling, but it's also just been a really, really exciting time because there's so much new things happening, new partnerships, like you say, with Cersei's and Locatelli's. Involved in the design process for how our spaces are going to look and feel. And so all of those meetings that we've had around all of that have just been really exciting and really brilliant to be involved in. So it's been a roller coaster, but I wouldn't have had it any other way. It's been great.
Yeah, and then you had the King and Queen turn up.
Yes, I know. That was quite exciting. And there's a funny little story to tell around that as well, which I'll go on to a bit later.
Oh, is this the wave?
Yes.
Okay, we'll come back to that. That's cool.
Did I tell you that on the night? I can't remember now. I must have done.
No, but I think I saw it on LinkedIn.
Oh yes, I share it all. Yeah.
You shared it all. It's a funny story, but we'll come back to that. That's
come back to that one.
So yeah, so the shortly after that was the showcase evening.
Yeah, so
that was well attended.
It was really well attended. We were so happy. So we'd had the gallery opened officially on the 10th of May. The week before that was all of the kind of gallery opening events. So we had all of our, thank yous for donors and patrons, and thank you for the architect team and all the building teams that had worked with us, staff and contractors parties. So there was loads of parties happening to thank the gallery and the people who've been involved in doing all the work. So that was a really, really busy period, So just that week, the week before the 10th, we had a whole series of different opening events, which were it was insanely busy, insanely exciting. We were all very excited to see the space. Then we decided we wanted to hold the venue hire showcase night, definitely in May. It had to be in May, to really ride on the wave of the Sainsbury Wing opening. So we found the date, the 23rd of May, I think it was that Thursday. And yeah, it was just incredible. We got some great support from our suppliers. So the recipe supported us on the food and beverage side of the evening, which, as you know, it was very delicious food and drink that was supplied. A really fabulous evening. Everyone turned up pretty much who was supposed to come, and it was a full, vibrant evening, and we loved every minute of it because we were sort of on a bit of a high when it all finished.
Yeah, I can imagine. I had a great pleasure of being there, and yes, the food was great. It really was. And as a person who does not drink alcohol, very impressed with the alcohol-free whiskey and gin.
Yes, I know. A lot of people were sort of commenting on the alcohol-free versions and how delicious they were. So that was great because often they can often be quite dull, the alcohol-free versions, can't they?
Well, not only that, they quite often with mocktails, as they like to call them, they replace the alcohol with really sticky sweet syrups, and it's not nice. And if you've got a problem, if you're diabetic, you've got a problem with sugar, or at least you're trying to reduce your sugar intake, that don't help. It really doesn't help at all.
Absolutely not. But
so it was nice to see that as being offered.
Yes, no, it was. Yeah, no, we were very, very, very happy with the food and drink on that evening. They did very well for us.
Yeah, and I think most people were just impressed with just how nice it looked, how much softer it looks, and no hard straight edges, not particularly. I mean, some venues can be a little bit brutalist on their architecture.
Yeah.
How do you think it? Well, probably a difficult question to ask, but how do you think it matches up against other London venues?
Well, when we were designing this space, it was very, very important that we made sure this space was also going to work for events. Its primary focus is the welcome for our visitors coming into that space and for it to be amazing for the next 200 years, ideally. But we definitely had the focus that the events it had to work for events in the evenings as well. And we proved on that evening that it really does. I mean, it's just light, airy, spacious. That gorgeous staircase going up is a real kind of symbol of the space as well. And as you'll remember, we had those beautiful olive trees everywhere, which really enhanced the space as well. So I think it's just we're now definitely going to be competing on that larger size of an event point of view with other London venues. In that downstairs space, we can accommodate 750 standing up, whereas before it was never really it couldn't accommodate that many people, but also it just wasn't that attractive from an events perspective. It felt like a museum entrance. It didn't feel like an event space of its own.
Was it because it was, well, here's a space, we could use it for events, as opposed to we've made it so events can happen?
Yeah, that space was never made with events in mind before. So it was always just the entrance. And to be honest, we very rarely did anything just in that space down there. It was always moving upstairs. So now it's been designed with events in mind. Everything is flexible down there, everything can be moved. So for example, you might have noticed there's a little welcome desk that can be moved. And we've now got those huge, beautiful digital screens that can be curated with events in mind as well. So people can use that for branding, or they can just have the gorgeous art backdrop that you saw on the night. So those screens are a real focal point and really make the space stand out. So it's now much more attractive from an events perspective for clients. So yeah, we're delighted with it.
I was going to mention the big screen. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's such a crisp display, and I can see a point where you might actually have some sort of you just put a lot of chairs out and you actually have presentations in front of the screen where you
Yeah.
could then show graphics and sponsor messages and all sorts of things. I'm doing hand gestures and nobody can see. And it's just, yeah, I can imagine that alone is
Yeah.
very, very attractive, let alone the
No, it
rest of the
is.
space that you've got upstairs.
Absolutely. And then also downstairs, we've got our Pigott Lecture Theatre, the Pigott Theatre downstairs. And what we want to be able to do with that space in the mornings before we open pre 10 a.m. Again, companies can have their brand on those big screens. So as their delegates arrive for a conference, they can immediately know they're in the right space, immediately see their name and feel that space is for them. And then they can head down into the event and carry on and continue the day. Obviously, post 10 o'clock, it's a gallery, it's a welcome space for our visitors, but at least we can use that space to welcome guests in the morning, and then in the evenings we can do what we like with it. So it's a real benefit for events in that side of the building.
Well, it's almost like it's best of both worlds now. Not only have you got a nice meet and greet area where people can come in and it's relaxed and it's just, those trees are amazing and the screen's amazing. And you've got smaller screens on the pillars, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, we have. There's a whole suite of screens, so you can actually have them all programmed to be showing the same thing or different things. Interestingly, we had an inquiry from the showcase for a potential film premiere. And I can't really say too much about it, but the point was the reason they are really interested in the space was that they wanted to use those screens and have that impact. So we're hoping we can do something with that. So that's an exciting one.
Oh, do tell me about it when you can. Oh,
I will.
yeah. So that's amazing. So obviously with all this new space you've got, the screens, the theatre and the dining space, this probably explains why you launched the new event packages.
Yes, absolutely. And I think we wanted to have a bit of a fresh slate. We've always used the theatre before for conferences and quite successfully. But it's been closed for 2.5 years. We needed to remind people it was back again and that it actually exists and it wasn't forgotten about. So we wanted to kind of launch our opening with a bang, with new packages, with our new partnership with Circes, and really kind of and the upgraded theatre. I mean, it's just incredible. It's a beautiful space. It's totally refurbished and it's really stunning. So let's just kind of open this all up with these wonderful packages that really go hand in hand with the gallery and why people should come to the gallery for their events. And that's why we decided to do it. So yeah.
So there's a lot to offer event planners. So can you just go through some of the items that in the packages that are available?
Yeah, sure. So we have four key pillars that we focus our packages on. One is creativity, and that is aimed at inspiring innovation and out of the box thinking. And it takes event guests on an out of hours tour, highlighting works from the likes of Van Gogh and Turner and any other artists that we want to talk about. We've then got mindfulness, which is been created with team building in mind, and reflective sessions, offers guided meditation within the gallery, encouraging mindfulness and a sense of calm. We then have enrichment, which empowers teams with an educational perspective, broadening experiences, taking event guests on an art history journey to bring the paintings to life. And then finally, we have the connection, which is tailored for networking events and away days, encouraging collaboration by exploring selected artworks through interactive discussion to connect to art and to each other. Um, and as well as those those tours that we have and those kind of themes that we have, working with Ceres, our event caterer, to really ensure the food and drink offer that they have in that package really kind of incorporates that aspect of the package as well. So they're eating great food, mind food, brain food. They're really feeling inspired by the day.
So it's a matter of matching what you drink, what you eat with the experience and with
Yeah.
the purpose. So if it's a mindful event that you're doing, yeah, you don't want to be serving lots and lots of alcohol. I mean, that's just not appropriate.
Precisely.
Or if you're doing it for like yoga and you don't want to serve donuts,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things. So it sounds like a real benefit to have the chance to have these packages, to select the one that suits best your intent, the reason why you want to be there.
Exactly that. It's hitting into that, why would you hold your event in our venue and what's our USP? And I think this really sets us apart from other venues because we're making it, this is your reason for coming to the National Gallery. You want to have this feeling for your guests who attend, and we can offer you that with an experience.
One thing I want to do, is to sit on a bench, peace and quiet, and just stare at one or two paintings and just have that quiet moment, that sort of
Exactly.
just totally zone out and relax and almost meditate, but in front of an amazing painting.
This is it. And funnily enough, we had a roundtable discussion around this topic just recently with kind of key industry figures, which you'll hear a bit more about. And we were discussing that where, people who are creating event itineraries, they don't necessarily make time for these things. It's not necessarily seen as important. So what we're trying to say is it is important. Give guests 5-10 minutes to do something that's just giving them time to think, collect their thoughts, to get themselves into that mindset. So we hope that will become common practice in the future when people are putting itineraries together.
I'm seeing more and more mentions online, particularly on LinkedIn, where people are now starting to feel a bit rushed in events.
Yeah.
They seem to be setting up appointments. They're talking to people. If it's a limited, like 1 or 2 days, they feel they can't get it all in. They're
Yeah.
just speeding through. So I think it's very important that delegates, given the chance of actually having that sort of moment just to process what they've seen, what they've done, what they've experienced. And I
Exactly.
think the National Gallery, everybody loves a painting.
Yeah.
Is even if they say, well, I'm not really into art. If you were to sit in front of a Van Gogh or Turner or a Monet and you're going to sit there, you are going to meditate. You are going to relax.
Absolutely, and I think for people who would class themselves as not being particularly into art, I think anybody who has something explained to them. So if they've got someone telling them about a painting, what it means, what the background was, it's storytelling. So you're learning something, you're becoming immersed in the painting because someone has explained it to you. Often people just walk through a gallery, they're just bombing past masterpieces that they're not even stopping and having a look at because they don't know what it means. So everybody needs that time just to kind of hear it properly and have
Yeah,
it into them.
yeah. And if you are keen into paintings, but not quite, uh, if you want to know what you're looking at, this is again the benefit of the guided tour, where you can have an expert say, right, this is why everybody thinks this painting is important.
Yeah,
And they can, and
exactly.
then because you'll look at it and go, that's amazing work. But until it's explained to you, well, the painter was going through a certain experience. This was painted in a time of persecution. This was
Yes,
painted
yes,
when the new world was being explored, and this is a reaction to that. So there's all sorts of you can might on the outside go, oh, it's amazing, looks beautiful, but when you realise the story behind it,
Mm.
and I think that's all part of the experience. So if that helps you to relax, to meditate, just to take a break, it's got to be done.
Precisely. And also, you take that memory away with you and you'll remember that event because you had that experience. Often you go, I've been to many events over the years. I don't remember all the venues I've been to. I don't remember what I ate, whereas if you go somewhere and something, you're having a personal experience, you remember it.
I'm starting to see again more and more reference to it, and I totally agree with it, and I totally get it. Is you may not remember who you spoke to or what you saw, but you remember how you felt.
Exactly that. Yeah.
And if you walk out the National Gallery, go, I feel so much better. I feel so much relaxed. Then the event you've attended there, or whether you've gone as just as a member or a member of the public, and you've gone to explore, or you have gone to an event there and seen the paintings, you're going to remember that experience,
Yeah.
and you're going to feel so much more. Not you're going to feel positive, yes, about the National Gallery, but even more so about the reason you were there.
Yes, exactly that. So that was the whole purpose of these packages to really so that an event planner can really understand that by coming to us, that's what they're giving their attendees, and that's that is important. So yeah, so let's see.
Yeah, I can also see it if you've been down in the theatre and you've had to go. I mean it in a positive way. You've had to go through watching something on the big screen for an hour. You know, you're desperate to get up and walk, and I think
Yeah.
you'll take more in of what you've seen by relaxing in front of some amazing artwork.
Yes. Yeah.
So
For
when you
sure.
walk out, I had an amazing experience. Oh yes, that thing I saw, and then you feel better about it. You'll take it in, you'll process it better. Members House is opening at the time
Yeah.
of this recording.
It really is. Today is it's opening, and it's actually called the Supporters
Oh,
House.
Supporters House.
The
Sorry.
supporters house, and that is because it's for all of our members, but also all of our supporters, our patrons, our donors, everybody who kind of is a friend of the gallery is obviously welcome in that space. But yes, that opens today, so we're delighted. We're looking to be able to hold events in there from the autumn. We need a little bit of time just to configure it for events and know what that space can hold and what it can accommodate. But at the moment it's open, so the public will be going in there, that our members and supporters will be going in there from today. So yeah. The supporters house is to be a kind of a place where people can go and collect their thoughts and wine and dine and really kind of immerse themselves in that space in between going out and looking at the art. When it's busy in the gallery, there's lots of people everywhere that can come into a lovely restful place and just collect their thoughts, have dinner with a friend, have lunch with a friend, and just really enjoy that space and the kind of the views it gives you. So yeah, it's very nice.
I have to admit, all that sounds absolutely brilliant. But the thing I'm noticing the most is just how passionate you are about the whole thing. It's brilliant.
Mm.
Um, this is something I like. So I know you previously were at the Royal Museum Greenwich,
Yes, that's right.
and so museums and galleries are sort of your thing, as it were.
Yeah, interestingly, Royal Museums Greenwich was my first foray into museums. However, I have always worked for not-for-profit organisations, whether it be charities or academic venues. So where venue hire isn't it isn't the absolute purpose of the company. It's an enhancement to their business and allows them to do more good and to do more with the funds that they raise through venue hire. So I've been at the gallery just over 6 years now. I was at Royal Museums Greenwich for 2.5 years. And then before that, I was at the British Academy for 5 years, which is on 10 to 11 Carlton House Terrace, on just overlooking the Mall. And that is all to do with humanities and social sciences. So that building is a very old, two buildings, 10 to 11, Carlton House Terrace. Gladstone used to live in number 11. Number 10 was owned by the Wrigley family. And they're both stunning historic properties where, that building is now used for the British Academy's charitable purposes, but they're stunning spaces. So I think what I've found in my career is that I want to work in places that aren't just, I couldn't be working in a purpose-built conference center, for example, where it's just about that. I want to work somewhere where I'm feeling enriched and learning all the time about what's going on around me. And so now I definitely have a desire to work in that space, and I'd find it hard not to be in those kind of spaces now.
It's the sort of thing that just not simply just grows on you, but it suddenly becomes part of you.
It
The
absolutely.
history of what's inside and of the building and its purpose.
Yeah.
It gets to you, and you just want to know more and more and more. So you keep working in that space.
Well, that's right. And you know that the money that you're making for the organization is going to good things. It's going to create even better experiences for visitors or for the charity or whatever it might be. So I feel very proud of that. So yeah, I am very passionate about where I'm working and I absolutely adore it. So yeah.
So the transition then from the Royal Museum Greenwich to working at the National Gallery, that transition period probably not as difficult as you might think.
No, it wasn't really because it was, Royal Museums Greenwich is a site of four museums. So, that's got the Cutty Sark, the Royal Observatory, the National Maritime Museum, and the Queen's House. And then I went to one venue, being the National Gallery, but a much bigger kind of setup. So no, the transition wasn't that difficult. I was very well equipped to kind of go there and take the lead in that role that I was playing. So yeah, it wasn't that difficult. It was just obviously I'm not naturally, I wasn't brought up around art. I'm not particularly, I don't know much about, didn't know much about art when I got there. However, that's just grown on me over the years. I mean, every time we have an exhibition that opens, there'll be a curator's talk to all of the staff, and there's plenty of absolute brilliant experts who you can listen to, and they can tell you a story about the artwork or the story behind the artist. And I love attending all of those, and I'm really loving absorbing it all. So now I consider myself very much into art, but when I started I wasn't particularly. So yeah, it's an interesting change.
Well, you absorb it all, don't you? Because
You can't help but do
well,
that.
if you're walking through the gallery itself, if you started at one end and you're walking back to the Sainsbury Wing, you're going to walk past the most amazing artwork.
Yeah,
Of course, it's
yeah.
going to soak into you, and it's just going to become part of who you are.
No, precisely. And I think the beauty of working in places like that, you're in before the visitors come in. You're there in the evenings when you've got events going on. You see the space empty of anyone. You can walk down that central aisle of the National Gallery, the spine we call it, and just, take it all in. And there's no one around at all. Obviously there's security around, but you're just wandering through, and it's an amazing, amazing experience. So I love that. It gives you chills, if you know what I mean. So it's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
lovely.
And talking of experiences, I haven't forgotten. So King and Queen was there.
Oh yeah.
Is your story? Off you go.
Well, I've got two stories about King Charles actually, because he is our patron. He's the National Gallery's patron. And before COVID, or sorry, during COVID, when he was Prince Charles, he came. We opened our hub, which is where our offices are, and that's quite an amazing transformation as well within the gallery. So he came when we opened that to kind of look around and meet and greet with some of the staff. I happened to be sitting in a fairly prominent position when he was coming through, and not expecting, we didn't really know what he would do, whether he'd talk to everybody, whether we'd just walk through, but he stopped and were talking to everybody. And he was asking me all about the kind of, because of course at that point it was flexible working, we're all working from home, we're all working on teams. He was asking me about all of that. How was all of that? How was, working from home, and how was the kind of the computer setup? How was the equipment set up? So I had a really lovely little conversation with him about that. And I've got an amazing photo where the two of us are just laughing our heads off together, which is fabulous. So that's my first memory of him. Anyway, he came to open the gallery again on the 10th of May, or the 8th of May. It was a couple of days before we opened. And again, he was walking and doing a meet and greet, and I was in kind of one of the teams that were not necessarily going to be speaking to him, but we were just there. And he was meeting and greeting some other colleagues. And then we were sort of stood in a line, and he looked over, and I just gave him a little wave. And honestly, I didn't even realize I'd done it. And he wandered over, and then he sort of talked to us all and shook our hands. And I didn't click about the wave until maybe a couple of days later. Someone had sent me the video of me doing it. And I was showing my husband, oh, not necessarily of me doing it, but of me meeting the king. And I was showing my husband, and he was like, Claire, did you just wave at the king? I was like, no, I don't think so. He said, you did. I'm watching it. You're waving at the king, and he's like almost to get his attention. So anyway, I looked at it. And I'm like, oh, for goodness sake! I hadn't clicked that I'd even done it. I was just like, oh, I was too giddy with excitement. I was waving at him. So yeah, that was quite amusing.
Oh, that's so funny. I first saw that on LinkedIn, and I thought,
Yeah.
yeah, when I talk to Claire, I'm going to have to mention that.
No, it was a funny little story, and we're all laughing about it in the office. It's just quite comical. But yeah, I can't. You are who you are, and if you're excitable, you can't rein it in sometimes.
Yeah. I, is that can't be the standout experience of working at the National Gallery. I mean, that's a nice story, but
I know, I
what
know.
is the standout, if it's possible to describe it, the standout experience that you've had since working at the gallery?
Oh gosh, there's so many because each event that we do is different. You've got people celebrities coming in all the time. You've got all sorts of things going on that I can't pinpoint one. There's no one standout person that I've met or something that I think was a real moment. I think I know this sounds a bit cliche, but it's just the environment we're in. It's just being able to host these incredible experiences, have dinner amongst. I've been to many dinners in the gallery where we're sitting in amongst the artwork, and you're sort of sitting there thinking, this is just incredible. It's a real experience. So yeah, I think it's a multitude of all of that. There's just so many good stories to tell, that make it all. That's my why I love it. It's just never a dull moment, always something exciting happening, and I'm never bored. So I think, yes, I can't give you one example, but I think it's all of that together, really.
So it's almost like you found your home. This is your place.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy and content there. So yes, I mean, it's home for now, and it's wonderful.
Well, when you find a place where you can be creative, and
Yeah,
I mean, you are the head of events and hospitality, so where you
yeah.
can lead to where you think everything should be going, and people are going, yeah, yeah, this is great, we'll do that. So that's for many people, that's home, that's where they want to be, and I take it sounds like
Exactly,
that's
exactly
exactly how you
that.
feel.
Exactly that. And I work with a great team of people, and where we all, in our sort of senior leadership team, we all want the same thing. A lot of change is happening at the gallery, especially with this refurbishment and a change of working, a change of kind of culture. So it's being part of all of that and seeing the change happening, for yourself, and kind of being part of that decision making around that, and all of that kind of feeling of just seeing it happening, seeing the good work you've put in front of your eyes becoming something. So that's what it
Well,
is.
if you're going to put it um, in a brief statement, you could say that it's the reward, the why you find it home, the reward that you get from it is seeing how everybody reacts in such a positive way to what they see, and the
Yes,
reactions to the refurbishment, the paintings, the supporters has. I mean, that is the reward for you.
exactly that. Is seeing our work come to fruition. The buildings are opening, people are using them, we're having events are being held, and you're like, okay, people are having a great time, they're loving this space. We've done our job, we've got it right. So that's kind of it. It's feeling. I've very much enjoyed being part of that change process, being part of making things happen, being part of, um, just moving the gallery into the direction we want to be going in with the team. It's been a great opportunity.
So, is there anything exciting coming up, or is it a case of no? I need a rest now. I need everything to go quiet because it's been such a busy 12 to 18 months.
Well, interestingly, from a buildings point of view, there is a phase two to this big project that we did, which is working on our research centre in the back, and kind of the different part of the building to reconfigure all of that. We've agreed, well, in terms of what's happening in the gallery, we've agreed that we're going to have a year of no building work. So that's going to be a joy, because it's been an intense time. Paintings have moved because, of course, we've had a major rehang as well of the collection. So that was happening as we reopened our doors, on the 10th. Over that course of this last year, we've had a major rehang of all of our paintings. So no painting has ever been in the same place. It's been moved around, everything's been moving. It's been quite a difficult puzzle to kind of navigate. So now paintings will stay in place. You know, everything will just be a little bit quieter on the building point of view. However, from an events point of view, we're just ramping up. We're now able to do 4 events in an evening. We've got our East Galleries, which is where you walk into the portico entrance and you have the Barry rooms and the portico entrance and room 32 and all the beautiful galleries over there. We've now got the Sainsbury Wing as another entrance, and that you can have 2 events going on either side of the gallery without anyone knowing that the other event is going on. So that's a real privilege. We've got the Supporters House, which will be a standalone venue as well with its own entrance. And then we also have our Centre for Creative Learning, which is another project that was happening at the gallery. We've had all of our learning space redeveloped so that we can really offer a brilliant children's and school groups program. So that's something else that's happened, and that has all been refurbished. So we have another entrance at the back of the gallery that people can come into and get access to the gallery. So we're not really quietening down now that these spaces are open. Our job is to fill them with events basically, and kind of make people know that these are they're available and they're there. So no, we're not quietening down, but it's more business as usual. Business as usual will just kind of get into play more rather than the extra projects that we've been doing on the side as well.
Yeah, it's a case of now it's in place, let's do something with it.
Well, we have to. I mean, you know, it
Yeah.
cost, you know, the whole project was an 85 million pounds project, you know, which was all funded, but we now need to make the building work for us. So that's my job really in terms of the out of hours activity. We need to be getting in tour groups and, you know, venue hire and any filming and all sorts of things that happen there. And then, of course, with our hospitality, we now have doubled our capacity with hospitality. Before, for 2.5 years before we closed, we had. So while we've been closed, we had one restaurant, Oka, the Espresso Bar, and Muriel's Cafe. And now we have those 3 still with Bar Giorgio on the ground floor, Locatelli restaurant on the mezzanine where we had the event as well. And then our Supporters House has its own restaurant and bar as well. So the hospitality side of my role has completely grown as well. So there's a lot to do. There's a lot of settling in. There's a lot of work getting to a business as usual point of view. So no, it's not going to be that calm anytime soon.
Yeah, but also it's going to be a bit of a learning experience because
But totally, yeah.
yeah, because you're now going to go right. Okay, we've got all this massive hospitality space. How do we deal with it? How do we manage it? What can
Well,
we
this
do?
is
Or
it.
more excitingly, what can we do with it?
Well, exactly that, and I think that's what's exciting about working with Circes on this, because of course they're the machine behind Locatelli, the Locatelli restaurant, and with Giorgio Locatelli fronting it. But we've got they're experts in their field, you know. So I'm really looking forward to working with them. I have experience of Circes in the past that I've worked with them over the years quite a few times, so I know who I'm dealing with, if you like. So I'm looking forward to working with them and just making things better and better. And looking at we've got a beautiful outside space outside the main entrance of the gallery, which is National Gallery land. So we want to do a lot more with that. We want to have more, you know, maybe gelato sold outside, you know, cafe seating going on. Use that for events as well, for drinks parties. So that's something else that's bubbling away that we're not quite ready, but that's another opportunity that's coming down the line.
It sounds so exciting.
Yeah, there's stacks going on, and it's brilliant. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to keep tuned to this because first of all, I love the gallery. I love walking through and seeing everything.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the Supporters House and actually just experiencing it, to sit in there and listening to people.
Yes, absolutely.
And also all the other future things that are going on.
Yeah, there's a
It's
lot
gonna be
going on.
amazing.
Yeah, and you know, it's a constant involvement at the gallery. Even when we settle into this our new world now, there'll be more things happening, more plans, more changes. So it's not staying still. It's really moving forward.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. That I think is it because we've just covered everything, including the event spaces, the reopening, waving to the king, and also. So I want to end by saying thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very
Um,
much.
if anybody wants to go and explore, obviously information's on the National Gallery website. I think you're on LinkedIn as well, National Gallery,
Yes, National Gallery is on LinkedIn.
and probably on Facebook, definitely on Instagram.
Yes, definitely on Instagram.
So
Yes.
if anybody wants to know what's going on or wants to see sort of see what's inside, just follow on Instagram, go onto
Yeah.
Facebook and see. But even better, go in person, go sign up, get your membership, and just go take full advantage of everything that's on offer.
No, absolutely. From a National Gallery content point of view, the National Gallery Instagram handle is perfect, that you'll get all of that. But then if you really want to see what's going on from an events point of view, it's NG Events. So
NG
do
events.
follow that as
Okay,
well.
I'll make sure I'll put that in the show notes. Well,
Yeah.
again, thank you so much for your time. And as I say, I encourage people to go and be a member. And
Yeah, thanks so much. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Huge thanks to our patrons, Vivid Ink and WebApp, and to our partners Shoutout and the Power of Events, and of course to all our industry friends. Your support is really appreciated. Event Plan News is independent and advert free, supported by our patrons and partners. Details of you can be a patron can be found in the show notes and on the EPN Journal website. Thank you for listening.